Day 2 of the draft is officially in the rear view after rounds 2 and 3. Next up, the final day of the draft on Saturday, rounds 4 through 7 will once again be live here on Philadelphia Eagles Now. But the purpose of this show, Philadelphia making a surprising pick at the back end of the third round, addressing the edge rusher spot. They do not go linebacker here, and they go with an under-the-radar prospect here in Jalyx Hunt. Stay tuned, too. My draft grades for Philadelphia coming up here just around the corner. Now, Philadelphia making a move here with the San Francisco 49ers, and there was a lot of movement for Philadelphia. They did not have a third-round pick originally, but after packaging 50 and 53 to move up to 40 to take Iowa cornerback, safety, Swiss Army knife Cooper DeJean at number 40, they got a third-round pick, but then they traded out of that and then traded out of it again to now land at number 94 overall. And the 49ers, in exchange, they move up to get a player who they really liked, an offensive lineman, Dominic Pooney, out of Kansas with the 85th pick. And at 94, Philadelphia going with an intriguing prospect, a freak athlete who has a fascinating story, and an under-the-radar player at 94. I thought this was a little bit of a reach for Philadelphia, but it's Jalyx Hunt, who is an edge rusher out of Houston Christian. By no means a football powerhouse. This is going to be a draft and develop selection for the Eagles here. It wouldn't surprise me if Hunt spends a majority of his rookie season on the practice squad. I've seen a lot of people fired up about this as far as Eagles fans saying, how did Howie Roseman in the second or third round not go after linebacker? He just doesn't value the linebacker position like he does edge rusher, offensive line, corner, and he's remade the defense to a certain degree, right? They got 3 years younger, and they addressed it in free agency, along the defensive line, in the draft, Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean. I thought those were home run picks for Philadelphia in rounds 1 and 2. Great value plays, too, for the Eagles. I understand that linebacker is an issue. Devin White, Oren Burks, they signed those players in free agency. Jeremiah Trotter Jr. is still on the board here as of this recording. Maybe he's a day 4 target, but he just doesn't value linebacker like he does edge rusher. And this is an Eagles classic pick because they're betting on some upside here. And get this for the path of Jalyx Hunt as you take a look at the 2023 numbers as an edge rusher at Houston Christian. 46 tackles, 6.5 sacks, 37 pressures, 3 forced fumbles. Athletic upside here. 6'3", 252 pounds. He's 23 years old. And he has this interesting path where he started his career going to Cornell. So Ivy League guy with plenty of smarts, a lot of football IQ. He started his career as a safety. And he has worked very, very hard to bulk up his frame to become an edge rusher here. He has a great mix of athleticism, a lot of length, 34 3/8 inch arms, a wingspan of nearly 83 inches. At 252 pounds, he ran a 4.64 40-yard dash. He can really move at that size. He was 195 pounds when he enrolled at Cornell back in 2019. And he has really just worked hard to kind of bulk up that frame, add some strength. He fires out of his stance. He has burst and acceleration to really threaten in a couple of different ways. And because he played safety, because he's a good athlete, he has good bend to get around the edge. I thought some people in the live chat made a decent point in saying, this kind of reminds me of Nolan Smith. Nolan Smith was much more experienced and had a lot more pedigree. He went to Georgia. Jalyx Hunt went to Cornell and then Houston Christian. But if you want to talk about a player who does have twitch, has burst, has bend around the edge, can kind of set the edge to a certain degree, I could see the similarities there. The weaknesses, he plays like an inexperienced player because he is an inexperienced player at that edge rusher spot. He's extremely raw. His pass rush moves certainly indicate that. this is a player who's gonna need some seasoning, gonna need the development, and I'd be surprised if he's an impact player from the go. But with what Philadelphia likes to do, a Jordan Mailata, a Nolan Smith, they'll take chances on athletes, I just think this is too early to take a chance on an athlete at 94 overall when you had good linebackers on the board, you had a good wide receiver or two on the board. This is a project, and I don't love the thought of going project with the third round selection. What position should the Eagles draft next? It is going to be a busy rounds 4 through 7 for Philadelphia because they have stockpiled a lot of picks, and we'll continue to give you great analysis right here on the show. Let me know down in the comment section, and stay tuned because my draft grade's coming out through 2 days and 3 rounds for the Philadelphia Eagles here. Game Time, our sponsor for this show. Make sure you download the Game Time app. Use the code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off on the best ticketing app in the game. They're not going to hit you with a bunch of outrageous fees, and you're guaranteed to get in the door and get the best seats at the lowest price guaranteed. And when you use the Game Time app, prices drop as the event gets closer. And if you want to go to 76ers Knicks, Game 4, Wells Fargo Center, Sunday afternoon, Sixers looking to knot that series up at 2-2 after Joel Embiid dropped the 50-piece against the Knicks on Thursday night. You can go to that game. Tickets still available for a very affordable price. Philadelphia Phillies, a hot ticket in town right now at Citizens Bank Park, a beautiful ballpark in South Philly. Use the code CHATSPORTS. They have these flash deals, and you can see the view from your seat before you buy, so you know it's exactly what to expect when you arrive. All of this information down for you, and the link to download the app is down in the show notes, and then use the code CHATSPORTS at checkout to save $20 off your purchase. So the Eagles have wrapped up their work in the first 2 days and 3 rounds of the draft, and I like what Philadelphia has done here, in particular the first 2 selections here. And I'm going to give out my draft grades here, but a recap and a refresher. Quinyon Mitchell, round 122, the cornerback out of Toledo. Cooper DeJean, I think he's more of a safety, but you're going to be able to use him as a defensive weapon with special teams ability. Cornerback safety hybrid, round 2, number 40. You move up from 50 to take him. I thought he was a round 1 talent. And then Jalyx Hunt, definitely a reach here, a project, round 3, 94, the edge rusher out of Houston Christian. Quinyon Mitchell is a player who I coveted. He's a player who I love. He's a player that when I put together my perfect Eagles draft plan, I had Philadelphia trading up to take him. Love the player, love the prospect, love the makeup, love what he brings to the table culturally and as an athlete. Why I also love the pick, though, on top of who he is as a person, who he is as a player, is that Philadelphia did not have to trade up to get the number 1 corner on my board. He fell right into their laps at 22 overall. And that right there, ladies and gentlemen, is just excellent value. He's a speedy corner who ran a 4.3 40-yard dash in the pre-draft process. He fared well in both man and zone. He didn't have to play a lot of press at the Senior Bowl, or he didn't play a lot of press at Toledo, He did do that at the Senior Bowl. I thought he fared really, really well against some wide receivers who were premier talents in Mobile, Alabama. He could be a little bit stiff coming in and out of his breaks, but here's my thing with Quinyon Mitchell. You can tell that he is a guy who likes to get in the lab, who likes to work on his craft, who has been coached and developed throughout his entire upbringing, both in high school and at college, because the footwork, the back pedal, the awareness in and out of breaks, I think he does a good job of flipping the hips. And he uses that 4.3 speed to go step for step with wide receivers. I like the physicality to his game. On top of that, great ball skills. Consistently makes plays on the football. 24 pass breakups in 2022. 19 pass breakups in 2023. And that's what you're looking for an outside corner. And then you talk about the makeup. He asked to be coached hard at Toledo. He's kind of a silent assassin where He's cool, calm, and collected away from the field, but an intense competitor on the field. He's consistently had to prove to others that he's legit. He went to Toledo, so he's had to really work his way to a point where he becomes a first-round pick when he's been doubted. That's the identity of the city of Philadelphia. Chip on your shoulder, blue-collar mentality. Nick Saban wanted him to come to Alabama. But Quinyon Mitchell liked the relationships that he had at Toledo, what he was able to develop there, and he wanted to stay. And for the traits, the ball skills, the athleticism, I think he has it all to be a shutdown corner in this league, the swagger and the confidence, the short mindset, because you're going to get beat. And you have to be able to flush that at the NFL level, because if you let it impact you, teams are going to keep picking on your ass. And he's also willing to play outside, inside, but at Toledo, he played primarily on the outside. So value, the player, the ability, the potential, the need with Darius Slay at 33, James Bradbury at 31. I like the pick. And then, so that's an A grade for me. Cooper DeJean, I'm going to give this a B. I thought he was a first-round talent. I like what the Eagles' thinking is here. They're getting two premier athletes who I think have boatloads of potential. That secondary at the end of last year was horrendous. It was a joke. They could not stop anybody in the pass game. They were an awful tackling unit. And when a player who's a first-round caliber talent starts to slip deep in the first round, then he goes into the second round, I think you have to do your duty as a general manager to try to improve your squad and move up to get a player who you really, really like. And I reported at the NFL Scouting Combine that Philadelphia really liked Cooper DeJean, according to my sources. At the time, the only top 30 visit that he had set was with Philadelphia, and clearly their interest was there for the player all along. This is a player who can do it all. He's a weapon on the defensive side of the football. He could play outside corner. He could play in the slot, nickel, hybrid linebacker, coming off the edge as a blitzer. You can use him in just a handful of ways. Talented zone corner, great straight line speed, 4.4 40-yard dash speed, willingness to tackle, loves physicality, offers great punt return ability. He had 7 career interceptions. He brought back 3 of them for touchdowns throughout his career at Iowa. Did suffer a fractured fibula in a November practice with the Hawkeyes, but said if there were a game today, I would be able to play. And when you have a defensive mind who's as creative and as experienced as Vic Fangio, he's going to find ways to maximize the ability of Cooper DeJean. So you have Cooper DeJean, you have C.J. Gardner-Johnson, and you have Quinyon Mitchell. In a pass-happy era that is the NFL, you need to have a good back end. And if that pass rush gets home with the Darius Slay, who I still think can play, the Eagles defense can rebound in 2024. Pro Football Focus coverage grade of 76.8. He plays off a lot as a corner because I don't think you trust his abilities fully, which is why I think he might be a safety at the next level. But if you utilize him like a Trent McDuffie, like a Tyrann Mathieu, you can use those players as chess pieces, and they can cause mismatches and problems for the opponent. And then Jalyx Hunt, I'm just going C+ here because I'm willing to take chances on prospects later, but when you're reaching and you're taking a developmental prospect in the 3rd round, when there are good players at your disposal, I'll go C+ here. But I like the potential that the prospect has if you can develop him here. So grade the Eagles draft so far, A, B, C, D, F. Be bold about your opinions and let us know down in the comment section.